I'm in StatCrunch and I'm going to look at doing a chi-squared test of independence, and this is for two categorical variables. The data set I have open comes from a Mythbusters episode where they were looking to test the hypothesis that watching someone yawn will make you yawn. And the people didn't know that this was the purpose of the experiment. I think they thought they were participating in something else. So we had the treatment group that observed a yawn, even though they didn't realise they were observing it, and the control group that didn't observe the yawn. And then the experimenters watching would note down if the participant yawned or not. So we can either have one row per person, and this is ideally how you would collect the data, and hopefully your project is set up in this format. It's possible you have counted the numbers that are in each group, such as in the treatment group 10 yawned, 24 didn't yawn, in the control group 4 yawned and 12 didn't yawn. And you have to do the test, you have to pick two different options depending on how your data is set up. Now I'll show you this way first, as hopefully this is how you have your data. You need to go to Stat, Tables and Contingency, and this is with the whole data, not with the summary. The row variable, you can choose either. I'd probably just choose the group, and the column variable will then be the outcome. You don't need these options here. We would like to display, it's going to display our observed counts. We would also like to see the expected count and the standardized residuals. So just control click. It gives you little hints and you can pick both of those. You can pick more things if you're interested in them, but it makes it a little bit difficult to read if you have too much stuff come out in the table. The hypothesis test we're interested in is the top one, the chi-square test for independence. Confidence intervals. If you scroll down, you've got the odds ratios, so you can pick that. If you've been watching the SPSS, you will have seen all the SPSS output, and that gives you the relative risk as well, but we haven't been looking at that in the tutorials. We've only been doing the odds ratios, so you can ignore the relative risk. And 95% confidence level is fine. So compute, and that's it. There's your output. So we have 12 people in the control group who did not yawn and 4 people in the control group who did yawn. 24 people in the treatment group did not yawn and 10 people in the treatment group did yawn. The null hypothesis for the test is that there is no association between the two variables, and we have a very high p-value, so we've got absolutely no evidence against the null hypothesis, and therefore we have no reason to conclude that watching someone yawn will in fact make you yawn. And then if you want to include the odds ratio, it's I'm not sure which way around this odd ratio goes. As it includes 1, it doesn't really matter. So it's saying for every one person who yawns, 1.25 people do not yawn. But the confidence interval includes 1, which would be no difference between the groups. For every one person that does yawn, one person doesn't yawn in the treatment over the control group. So there is absolutely, in this data set, there is no effect of watching the yawn. And we have the warning that we've got very low counts, so we've got an expected cell count here of less than 5. So the test should be interpreted with caution with such low numbers. So that's the most likely way you're going to run the test if your data is set up like that, and you can stop watching now. If for some reason you have tallied your data and you don't have this, it is possible to reconfigure it that way, but if you already have it like this, you can still run the test. You'll need to go to Stat, where did I go? Tables, Contingency, and this time with the summary. Now the columns, we need to pick both the columns with the numbers in, so that would be yawn and no yawn, and then the row labels is the second group. I probably should have labelled that something different, but I'm getting this group here. We don't need any of those. We are interested in the expected count and the standardized residuals, test of independence, and the odds ratio if you want. And if you need more information about the odds ratio, hopefully the help will give you some to tell you exactly how it's calculated it. Compute. Hopefully we get exactly the same output out. Let's have a look. So the table has been reconfigured a different way. and that will just be due to the way that I have it set up here. But obviously the p-value is the same and the odds ratio is the same.